Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 29 of the Comic Room Podcast. I'm your host, Spro, and with me, as always, every week, faithfully, until June at least, is Mr. Longbox.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Today, we have a couple very exciting things to do. Sorry, my mic thing was like falling off. We have a couple exciting things to take care of today. One of which is a surprise that you've kept under wraps for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, longer than I thought I had to. It was tough.
Yep. And then, mainly that. And my show and tell is actually pretty, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Insane, amazing, incredible.
No, it's very roots based, I guess you could say.
Ooh, okay.
Or yeah.
I have no idea what it is. I never do. So that's it's fun. That the show and tell is fun because I'm always curious of what you're going to come up with.
Yeah. And then assuming that we have time, which I think we will, I would like to, and I didn't tell you this ahead of time because I don't really want you to think about it. I wanted your raw thoughts, but I want to talk about the state of grading. And PSA is coming onto the market soon. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, just with like, just getting into dealing recently, and I have some like really nice books that I would love to get graded, but the turnaround time is insane. So it's like I have to kind of calculate the cost, and then I think about CBCS, and it's like, well, do I send these like I have a Doctor Strange 169, and it's probably like a 7.0, maybe even a 7.5, so a very nice high grade, and a book of that caliber at a estimated grade around in that range, I would love to like get confirmed before I sell it. Right. But it's like, I'm not going to wait 6 months.
Right.
So.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm looking forward to having that conversation. I've got a lot of thoughts on that. Because I've been thinking about it too.
I did send a book to CBCS yesterday.
Okay.
The Hulk King Size Annual 1. So.
Cool. All right. Oh, the signed one.
Steranko,
I'm so excited. I want to ask you about that process because I've only ever submitted to CBCS live at a con. So and I'm
kind of cheating.
What do you mean?
I have a buddy that lives next to CBCS.
Oh, that's right. Of course you do. Yeah. I'm just wondering if you. Yeah, that's so cool. Is he going to walk him in?
Yeah.
You have to tell me whether or not you have to have like a membership the way you do for CGC to send books in.
But I think he's doing it all on his account for me, and I'm just gonna Venmo him whatever.
Yeah,
like I said, I'm cheating.
What do you mean? You're kind of cheating. You're totally cheating. No, but that's great. Yeah, that's a great connection. I've got a friend who lives in Florida. I'm like, but I don't think CGC takes walk-ins.
Yeah, they do.
Do they really?
Oh yeah, big time.
Because Sarasota is what part of Florida?
I think it's.
I remember because I remember when the hurricane came through, they had all my books, so I got real familiar with Floridian geography. they're like middle of the state on the western Gulf side, Gulf of
America,
whatever it's being called these days.
Margaritaville is what the most recent one I heard.
Gulf of Margaritaville. That's pretty funny. That like to me, it's always probably going to be the Gulf of Mexico because that's how I grew up. I mean, does it really matter? And if it's Gulf of America, I mean, technically speaking, Mexico and United States and Canada are all North America. So I think it'd be really egregious if it was like the Gulf of the United States. Like that would be.
Isn't it also bad? Like by definition, wouldn't it be Gulf of both? Like, isn't it a Gulf to both countries?
Yeah. So America makes sense to call it that because it hits both. But, I mean, that's an interesting topic. I never knew you could just sort of unilaterally decide that something on a map has a different name, Yeah. But apparently it is, we have a legitimate claim on it, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not here to talk about that, but it is curious.
So without further ado, let's get into your show and tell.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My show and tell, you guys is, really doesn't need any introduction. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time in introduction, but I'll say it took a couple weeks to get here, and I thought I'd have it last week. But when you see it, you're going to go, "Oh, I know why he's bringing it. I know what this means for Bob." But you're also going to probably have a very quick, because you're going to see the color of the label. But I will explain all. Drum roll, please. my show and tell today, ladies and gentlemen, is my very own copy of Fantastic Four issue number 3 on my short list of goals from last year and carried over to this year, and something I've wanted in my collection since I started collecting and never ever thought I could get in my collection. It's in a CGC qualified label, 3.5 off-white to white pages. The problem with this book is not insignificant. It is missing a page. That affects the stories. Page 3 is gone. So if you're out there and you've got a stray page 3 of FF3, it might be worth something to me.
Hit us up.
Hit me up. I'll throw it in there.
I did look around for one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it would still end up being qualified because they say it's like you married it in. But whatever. But why would I opt for a green label? You might say, isn't that going to bug you, Bob, for a green label? Well, just want to remind you of a couple of weeks ago, I think, a couple episodes ago, I brought that Star Trek 1 in, and it was a 0.5. And it was a blue label, but it was a 0.5 because the centerfold was missing. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure why a centerfold missing gets a blue label and a page missing gets a green label. I'm not really clear on all that. But do you guys remember what I said? I said, the truth is, I'm just really happy to have the book in my collection. So there's a simple answer, but there's a better answer. And the better answer lies...
a less cope answer.
Yeah. This is that's a cope answer. I'm definitely coping if that's all I have to offer. But I wouldn't have bought this book just because it was cheaper in a green label than a blue label, because you guys know I've waited this long. Why not just wait until I save enough to get the blue label one, you know? But there's a reason that I bought this one. And it harkens back to something we talked about in a podcast episode, probably middle of last year, maybe it was like issue 15 or something. And that was, well, let me just tell you what's on the fourth line of this right here. Page missing, effects story. Okay. But beneath that, and I'll pull it up to the camera in a second. It says in quotes, Jack Kirby, end quote, written on the first page in ink.
Woo!
If you can pull it up, you can see that or not, but it's, yeah, bring it up to the camera there.
Focus. There we go. Boom.
Yep. So you may remember us talking about the rarity of Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
Jack Kirby signatures. Mm-hmm. Yeah, check it out. And we were saying in that episode, that would be a really good spec, if you want to call it a spec. It'd just be a really good thing to go and find Jack Kirby signatures on key issues, especially FF, since it's his flagship, it's his baby, along with Stan Lee. But they're not very common, and when you find them, you're definitely going to be a premium, because Jack Kirby passed away, sadly, before the CGC thing came to be, and Stan Lee lived a lot of years where he was signing CGC stuff.
Yeah.
So this a Stan Lee signature is still great, but a Jack Kirby signature is much harder to find. So the question is it really a Jack Kirby signature? We don't know. All we know is that the grader did what all graders did, and probably still do if you're not actually sending it to BJSA authenticated. They will not acknowledge it as an autograph, or they'll simply say, this name is written on whatever. In this case, it's the splash page. But you and I know that's the only place Jack Kirby ever signed a book.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, it would have been considered sacrilege to sign the cover of any book. So we have very good reason to believe that that's underneath this slab on the inside of that cover is an authentic Jack Kirby signature on arguably, I don't even have to say arguably, on one of the top 5 most significant Fantastic Four books.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, what would I want a Kirby signature on the most? FF1, FF5, FF3 would be the third one, and then maybe FF4, and then maybe 48.
Yeah.
That would, and then I'll throw 2 in there and 12 because I like those books. But this is, first costume, first Baxter building. We've talked about this before, but this is rolling out the Fantastic Four as we know them today.
Yeah.
And if that's a Kirby signature, I got a good deal on this book.
Yeah, you got a crazy good deal.
I feel I got a good deal either way.
If it's not.
And I got a good deal because a lot of people are like, look, man, I don't want a green label. And I completely understand that. But you guys know me. I've said over and over again, what I go for more than anything else is things I consider to be unique or one of a kind.
Yeah.
And if that's truly a Jack Kirby signature, I don't really care that page 3 is missing. And here's the best part about today's episode. We're going to find out together
We are.
if that's really a Kirby signature. I brought a picture on my phone of what an authentic Jack Kirby signature tends to look like. And you have the tools to crack this bad boy.
I do.
And we're going to do it right now.
Let's go.
This
All right.
book has only been in my possession for about 2 hours. It arrived this afternoon, and I'm not wasting any time. We're going to crack into this thing.
So my question for you is, are you keeping it raw?
I believe I am going to keep it raw.
No, I think that's a good move.
I mean, there's a consideration if I were to send it into CGC to get graded, it would come back yellow label with a little green strip on the top, so it would aesthetically look nice. But the truth is, if that's Jack Kirby's signature in there, I want to be able to see it whenever I want. I don't want to encase it for forever. It's too important. And I'm really scared right now watching you do this.
Well, I'm looking for the weak point because there's always a weak point in the slab.
Yeah, take your time, man.
So
don't hurry. But you know the funny thing is though, with a book like this, it's not like a 9.2 where you'd be terrified if you did anything to the book at all. This is the value in this book isn't that it's a pristine copy, although it's a pretty nice 3.5.
It is.
It presents really nicely.
There it is.
Oh, I heard it. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I'll pull up the authenticated Kirby signature. There, he signed it different. Oh, it's in, you're in. He has different looking signatures, but they essentially have the same look. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Don't you get scared? You're very confident.
You have to be. You can't be scared.
You got to be clutch. You got to take the shot. You got to shoot the shot.
Can't be like D-Lo out here.
Now watch. It'll be like some kid wrote it in crayon.
All right. It's out of the slab.
It's out of the slab, you guys.
This dude got like...
It was a beat up slab. It was a scuffed slab. Look at the front. It has like a burn
milk
mark.
stains.
Yeah, like somebody left under a hot lamp for too long.
Weird.
So I probably would have broken it out of the slab either way.
We can crack it later to pull the label out, but...
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely do that. I feel it's our responsibility to try to maintain accuracy in the census. What do I do now?
No.
Okay,
I just gave that to you to hold. And now I gotta... This is the...
This is so exciting.
This is your first cracked slab.
I know it's kind of I feel like I'm opening King Tut's tomb or something.
Oh man, this is in there tight. All right. So we have space on the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the scary part, but when you take your time, it should be fine.
If you need to, do what you got to do, man. We can always edit this thing, come back if you need more time. I didn't want to say anything because I was terrified because there was a razor blade within millimeters of the book. Like two things that should never come close together.
Come on.
I'm so glad you're doing it, not me. Because you've got some experience. Ooh, we're okay. We're good. There was just a little slippage. Ooh, you sliced the table. All right. It's okay. All right. It's like, who cares? We're opening an FF3.
This is actually my least favorite part right here.
Oh my goodness. I'm so tense.
Come on.
Yeah, how do you got to get the cover to separate from that plastic? It wants to cling to it.
It's the only side with room too. So like in these inner wells, they like it's tight on the side, so I can't enter from the side because I have no room for the blade to go through, and it's tight on the top, so I only have room on the bottom. In a best case scenario, you have room on the side, on the spine side, because that's the easiest place to cut,
Right.
and then just pull out. So
Right, and then you don't have to pull the long way.
I think this right here, maybe we can slice this open.
Oh, man.
What would that do? Close to nothing.
You guys seeing this? Can you see? Oh yeah, they can see. Okay, yeah.
Don't cut toward yourself, people.
I know. That's what I was thinking as you're doing that. Notice I'm not talking when you're cutting. I'm not saying a word. I'm not going to distract you, startle you, or anything. I just won't release. Can we get scissors in there and kind of...
It's okay, I'm behind the book.
Man, do they vacuum seal these or something? Like, I mean, it is like... It's holding on to the book.
This one's holding more than I've...
It's not like it's like...
There we go.
There it goes. There it goes.
All right. Didn't harm the book at all.
No, you didn't. Great job. Oh, I'm holding it. I'm holding it in my hands. Okay, should we show them what, or maybe in the end we just put it on the screen?
Just send me the picture and I'll put the picture
Okay.
up.
Okay. But I'm gonna show it to you so you know what we're kind of looking for. This is one of several, but it's kind of hard. It's unmistakable.
Yeah.
It's that, the big kind of flurry K and then the J.
The J always starts like this. It has like a little like accent on the first part.
Okay. So this is a moment of truth.
This is.
If it's just some kid that scribbled inexplicably Jack Kirby on there because I don't know, wanted to. It's his signature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look.
Oh yeah.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. There can be no doubt. Here, you want to bring it up to the camera? That's a Kirby signature, y'all. That's a Kirby signature. It's a beautiful signature too. I am stoked. I'm so happy right now.
I want to see page 3.
What if it's a mistake in there and it is there?
What page did you say was missing?
3?
I'm looking at page 3 right now.
Well, maybe they mean like the third page.
Oh, it's page 4. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, I'm about had a cow just now. So yeah, you guys, you saw it. That is and you can compare it to what we put on the screen. This book right here, now out of the slab, bears a legitimate Jack Kirby signature. Right there. Jack Kirby signed FF3 page. The third page of the book is missing. So what did they put in here? They put a little white piece of paper to identify that?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's been torn out. I wonder what it was. I'll have to cross-reference it. But can't lament that because if it were complete, I'd never been able to afford it. So it doesn't really matter. Oh. Okay, so I don't have any plans to get it authenticated, although I know that I could authenticate it. What do you guys think? Should I? Take pictures of it all. Take a bunch of pictures. I can't see what I'm doing with this microphone. Hang on.
Man, what a cool book. I don't remember who saw it first between the two of us, but I was ready to claim. And then I was like, well, I'm going to let Bob have first dibs here because I already have my copy. And then if Bob was going to pass, then we'd be doing the same thing right now, but reversed.
I would be so mad. I would be so mad. I'd play it off, but I would be like kicking myself. But I did see it, and I was thinking about it. And then you sent it to me, and I'm like, yeah, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. I made an offer. Pretty aggressive offer, I thought. And he said it was accepted. And I guess that's maybe the way of things when I don't want to let go. I just want to hold it. It's like I feel like I got a puppy or something.
That's totally fair.
This right now, I'm most proud of this book. This is my favorite book in my collection. Like it has to be.
Yeah.
It's a Jack Kirby signed Fantastic Four issue number 3. Page 3 is missing. Okay. So what?
Let me see this.
I mean, it's not a so what, but it doesn't.
Now you got to take a picture, take it to Kinko's, and then slip it in the back.
That would be so funny. I mean, I do have right now. In fact, Marvel is reprinting. FF1 was if you got the LCS, you saw it.
Yeah.
They're actually they're going all the way through issue 12 every month. They're going to put out.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's every month or every week, but they're going to go all the way to issue 12 with the reprints. Unfortunately, they didn't go with Silver Age size. They went with modern size. So. But I actually am going to do that just for fun. I'm going to buy one to keep, and I'm going to buy another one. I'm going to slice that page 3 out, and I'm just going to put it in there.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I can't believe maybe I can get my hands on like a coverless one down the road, a coverless Silver Age one that's just beat. I'll just go.
Yeah.
Because at that point,
or just have both, have a cover list complete, and then this one.
Yeah, I suppose I probably couldn't bring myself to damage another. It would be tough to do.
You'd have to find. I'm sure. I mean, FF3, maybe people sold pages. I wonder if page 3 is actually the page where they first appear in their costumes.
I hope not.
And if some kid ripped it out.
I'll have to check my omnibus. I should have brought it because I could look and see what that is. What actually is on page 3. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, so this now I have now cracked the top 5 of Fantastic Fours. I have Fantastic Four 3 now, and then I have 6 through 11 and Annual 1. But I'm not going to think about what I need. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm just going to bask in the goodness of this book right now.
Okay, let me see. I have the open it up, or because I have the FF3 open.
Okay.
So we can see what page is missing.
Okay.
If you want.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I want to. I don't want to open it up again. I'm scared. I'm so like. Don't you guys feel relieved when you put like a really precious book into the Mylar sleeve and you tape it up? You're like, I'm never touching it again, but I will open it up. We got to see it.
So yeah, I don't think by the looks of it, it would be the 4th. So this is page 1. This is page 2. Page 3. So it's I think that's what it is.
Let me see.
We'll see. I think it's the first. I think it's like the blueprint design of the Baxter building. It might be that page.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can live with that if that's what it is. I mean, I live with it. Didn't matter what, but
Okay, so
we got cover. Oh, I just can't believe it. I can't believe this is my book. Okay, page 1 is the Miracle Man. Menace the Miracle Man.
this
right?
one.
Yep, that's where the
okay,
Kirby
got that.
Sig's on. And then the next page, next 2 pages
Got
are
that.
the log getting
then-
split. Yeah,
Okay, got that.
and then the next page is like Miracle Man getting punched in the
That's
upper
first
right.
appearance of the Fantastic Car right there. In story.
Let's go.
So you got that one.
Okay, and then it's the next page is gone.
Okay, so that is the Baxter building.
Okay,
And then it's chapter 2 of the story. Oh no, you still have that one.
yeah. So maybe there's an ad on the other.
Oh yeah, like an ad on the back of that page. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
So yeah, maybe some kid just liked the Baxter building and was like, I want to hang this up on my wall.
So what's this? Why is this in here?
I think this is to protect.
Interesting. I never knew they did what they did with these.
And then the first suit is a couple pages later.
Yeah,
should
right.
be that one right
here,
there.
Right.
I think
Yeah, it's
you're
coming up.
You're one too far, I think.
Oh, 1, 2. Oh, yeah, you're right. I see them.
Sue's like all posed. Yeah, that's it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's amazing.
Yep. Wow.
I
So
would
hey,
say,
in a book
yeah.
like that, you don't get the Baxter building, but you get the Fantastic Car and the suits.
Yeah,
It's a win.
that's a win.
And a Kirby signature. I'd rather have a Kirby signature than the layout of the Baxter building.
Agreed.
Are you a 2 duct tape guy? I handed you one and then
Yeah.
I saw, I'll give you another one.
I realized you weren't giving me a second one. I'm like, that's okay. But I will get into this book again because I'm most definitely going to take a picture of the splash page.
Yeah.
Kirby Sig, and that way I don't have to always break it out to show. I don't know if anybody heard what I just said, but I said I'm going to take a picture of the splash page, and so that I can show people and myself. So that's the question. I'm convinced that this is an authentic Jack Kirby. So
Looks like it.
if I were to send this back to CGC for the JSA authentication, I'm 99.999% positive that it would come back with the yellow label and it would have the green tab on top, which is pretty sweet. But what I lose is if I can use the term, the intimacy of being able to open it up and say, look, there it is.
Yeah.
And I can say I have done that. I made that decision once, and I've already not made that decision once. I made it for my Daredevil 158 that has the full old Frank Miller signature. And I kind of wish I didn't do it now because I can't see it when I want to. And I haven't done it for my Kazar 1 with the Stan Lee signature.
Oh yeah.
Oh no! You know what? Now it's a no-brainer. Now I realize I've got the raw Stan Lee splash page of a much less significant book. I think they should be just side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But what do you guys think? What would you do in my shoes? You know. But I want to get it in some kind of a turtle shell, something, so I can display it and not really be worried. You know, something that approximates a CGC, like a comic.
Yeah, they do have some of those. My only worry about those is because it's still hard and plastic on the inside.
Does it bang the corners?
And so it's like, the book is moving around. So I don't know if anybody listening has a recommendation on types of holders. I mean, I'm interested in finding one too, but I mean,
for now, I'll put it in the cool display display dossier that my friends made for me when they gave me Fantastic Four issue 1. That's the story.
Annual
I told.
one.
Yeah, annual one. And I told that story with our very first podcast episode. And it was kept in that book. And right now I've got like pristine copy of Iron Man 4 in there. Not because it's my most valuable book, but because it's the one where it's most condition sensitive because it's practically perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, but I think that's where this will go.
Yeah.
Because then it's like a book that opens up and then you see it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about as safe as I can make it.
Sure.
Okay. So,
all right. Fun.
Yeah, man, I feel,
That's the first time.
I don't know how to describe how I feel
You're
right
the
now.
man.
I just feel really pleased.
Yeah. So, move on to my show and tell.
Yeah.
So, how long have you wanted this book?
I've wanted this book since the day I decided that FF was going to be what I collected. I went and bought this thing called the Fantastic Four Index, and it goes up to like issue 170. I think that's when it was published, and it had every single issue pictured in black and white, and with a little description next to it of like if there's an introduction to it, what was significant about the book and all that stuff. And that was sort of like my hope chest of FFs, and since then, because since the moment I laid eyes on it,
Yeah.
I saw that as wow, wouldn't that be something? But I'll never own it.
Yeah.
And that was 40 years ago. 50
Wow.
years ago. I mean, not quite. How old am I? I'm 57. You stop counting, guys. But I started collecting when I was maybe 14. So, yeah, 40 plus years.
Wow. So, I did something I don't recommend anybody to do because there was some, what's the word? Painful realizations about the 2022 market. So quite a few episodes ago, I did a show and tell about the first two comics that I bought that I still have. I have one, like I bought some Flash comics, Spider-Man comics when I was a kid, when I would go to the store with my dad, but I don't have those anymore.
Right.
But those Spider-Man ones I got when I was in college at one of the local shops, and I still have those, which is awesome. And then after that, in 2021, I bought most of the Diller run, the Frank Miller run.
Yeah.
And I bought, I would say I probably bought like 60% of that run, 50% of that run at one time. And so I don't know like which book was first. I had finished watching the Daredevil show, and I was like, I just beelined it to, I just Googled comic shop, found one, and then just went straight over and I Googled Frank Miller run because I knew like that was the inspiration, and I just started pulling all the books up that I could find and did that. So I still have that run, and then obviously went dormant for about another year.
Yeah.
And then in 2022 is when we started collecting again.
Yeah.
So this was summer of 2022. I had recently moved. We became neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved like my handful of comics with me, and I didn't even have a box for them. Like I just had them like in a stack.
Isn't that wild to think?
Yeah. And then after we moved, a few months of I'd say coffee like was kind of my main thing at the time, and that's like all that I was like really focused on and thinking of. And then I had just come across the Miller run that I owned at the time, and I was like, oh, like I forgot about these. Like this is so cool. And then that's kind of like what set the spark. Like, oh, I should start collecting again. So what I did last night, and this is the part that I don't recommend, is I went to eBay, I went to purchases, and then I hit refine, and then I went and I clicked 2021 to see if I bought any comics in 2021, and I didn't. And then I hit 2022, and that's when I started buying comics. And some prices that I paid, I felt, oh my gosh, even now, it's so painful seeing what I paid for some books back in 2022. Yeah. So if you were collecting then, which was probably like the peak of the boom, don't go to eBay and look at what you bought. I do not recommend that.
No.
Hopefully some of you guys were smarter than me, but I was just excited and I didn't care. So.
Yeah. So in part you paid too much because it was the height of the boom, and in part you paid too much because your negotiating skills. I would say you probably always had the negotiating skills, but applying it to comics hadn't really come around yet. Because now you always get good deals.
Yeah. So at least I tried to. So this is my first comic book purchase on eBay in 2022.
Uh-oh.
And I actually, this is something I still got at a good price. this is actually a run. It's a mini series. I don't have issue number 1. It's actually at my office space because I have 2 copies of issue number 1, and whichever one was the higher copy I was going to keep, and whichever one was the lower copy I was going to sell.
Yeah.
So I don't have issue number 1, but I have the rest of the mini series here. And this is to show you guys that I'm not. Sorry. Here we go. That I'm not some bandwagon. Okay.
That's right, Joshua. You're no bandwagon.
From day one. This is literally day one of collecting. Okay. The Books of Doom.
That's incredible.
This is the first comic book I bought when we started collecting again seriously. So this is the series. This is issue 2.
That's pretty sweet. That's a great cover.
Yeah, Reed versus Doom. So I highly recommend this read. If you've never read it, that's why I bought it, was to read it. And I read it. And it's an excellent story. Retelling of his origin.
Wow. Those are beautiful books.
And
that's so cool that you know what your first acquisitions on eBay. I guess I hadn't thought about trying to look into that.
So there's that.
How far back does it go?
As old as my account.
Wow.
So these are my first eBay purchases, the Books of Doom.
Wow, these are great.
Yeah.
The whole complete run.
Yep. And I have 2 issues of number 1 in my office, but
and these aren't like keys, so you probably didn't. Whatever you paid, if you paid more than maybe you didn't pay, it wouldn't cost that much, right?
I think issue 1's. I think people do seek out issue number 1, but I think these. I don't think it's a key, but this is sought after because I think
I love that. I love all the covers, but that one, boy.
It was a low print run, and they're actually like, from my understanding, and because it's a low print run, is they're actually pretty hard to find in higher grade. So like issue number 1 in a high grade is like people search high and low for it. So
well, that's about that looks like an near mint copy to me.
Yeah, this is issue 2, but this is
that too. I missed it.
Yeah, I like, so they're fighting on the top part, but then I like under they're studying together.
Yeah, I thought that's like, it has a 60s feel to it.
Yeah, it kind of does. I don't remember the years that it actually takes place, but yeah, the Books of Doom.
It's possible, or maybe you know better. You would definitely know better. Is it possible for that story arc to show up in the MCU? Is it that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, totally. I think this, like, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's actually a twist ending that I think would make perfect for. I haven't read it since 2022, so 2.5 years now. But I think he is like telling his life story to a journalist that's imprisoned.
Huh.
Or maybe he's in prison. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's really nice. That's cool. That's a great show and tell.
Yeah.
Who's the writer of the
Ed Brubaker. So he's a pretty
I see that name around.
well tenured.
Yep. Nice
writer. So I highly recommend, if you're just a fan of Doom or FF, to read this, because it goes deep into the magical elements of Doom, which I think is something that people forget.
Yeah.
Is that he, as smart as he is, and is just a tad, or how do you say this? Not like he's dumber than Reed, but Reed always just has the slightest upper hand on him as far as intelligence goes. Like, he's just barely smarter than him, and that's where their kind of rivalry comes from. And so I think that's why he kind of taps into the magical elements, is because that helps give him an upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
So there's histories, or it kind of gives the background into his magical elements related to his mom, because a lot of that has to do with his mom, and the death of his mom. And yeah, but I remember, I think the reason why I got that run was because when I wanted to read it, and 2, from what I had heard about the run, I was like, oh, this would make like a great TV show, like a Disney Plus thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me read it because I know I would enjoy it because I like Doom.
Yeah.
And if it does become a Disney Plus show, like, then I'll just spec on it.
Yeah.
Which I still think to this day, like this would be like, because it's him telling his story to a journalist in that way,
Kind
like
of framed like a movie or
Yeah.
like a show.
you can break it up like really well into a mini series. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Those
my
are
first
cool.
eBay purchase. Yeah.
Man.
I wish I had an issue number 1 here, but I don't. So unlucky.
It's on your list now, probably.
Well, it's at the office space.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at here so I could show you guys.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I actually have 2 copies. So yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be beaming this entire episode because I just keep looking over at that book. Yeah, that's great. There you go.
All right.
Get your head back in the game, Bob. Wait, hold on a second. I forgot. I have to celebrate. I have to celebrate this. I brought. Don't worry. Don't cue up the George Michael music.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, let's go.
I like it. The gift from your wife.
Yes. This is how you know you've married the right girl. When they support your comic hobby.
There you
Or
go.
in my case, your comic habit.
Addiction.
Yes, even that. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Yeah, we're on perfect time.
Good.
So normally we go 45 minutes show and tell news. We go 45 minutes story. There's only one piece of news. They've cast Sinestro in the DCU. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did not.
I'll just pull this up real quick. Also confirmed that we were wrong about Shohei. Did you see that clip?
What? No.
Oh, you didn't hear about this?
I know. I've been. It's my first week back at school. I've kind of been out.
Oh man, yeah. There's proof. It was audio recording. What's in it? Ite
Yeah.
of his
agent.
His agent pretending to be Shohei on a phone call to the bank. So
Okay, good.
yeah. So
Okay, I actually am glad about that. I posted somewhere on social media about comparing. I think right after Pete Rose passed away, kind of saying, you know, Shohei, the gambling cloud around Shohei, we swept it under the rug. Meanwhile, Pete Rose never got into the Hall of Fame. I think I need to go in now and say, okay, correction.
yeah.
He's been exonerated. I need to admit that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to throw shade. I like Shohei.
Yeah.
I really wanted him to get on the Giants. You
Sure.
know? I
What
think
team didn't want
yeah,
him?
right. And a good Shohei is good for baseball. So
Yeah. Okay, so 2 pieces of news here. Benedict Cumberbatch has revealed that Doctor Strange will not appear in Avengers Doomsday. Following changes made when the MCU shifted away from Kang, Strange is no longer aligned with the story of Doomsday. So some people think he might be lost in the multiverse, as we know from the end of Multiverse of Madness.
yeah.
Clea comes and just says something, but basically is like, we gotta go. And then she like opens the portal and it's like maybe the dark dimension. I don't know. So I think while the Avengers are doing something in Avengers Doomsday, he's going to be in some multiverse kind of figuring out what in the world is going on.
Maybe they'll tell that story of the that we read last summer, not this past summer, but the one before, that 4-issue miniseries that was Doctor Strange, that he's like wandering in the underworld.
Oh yeah.
That was a cool story.
Yeah, that was. And then, okay, here it is. Ulrich Thompson has been cast as Sinestro in DCU's Lanterns series. This is official. This is him.
Okay.
I don't know who this is. Let me see. Ulrich.
That's a serious name.
Danish. Yeah, I've never seen this guy before, or I've seen him in anything. But
Yeah, I don't recognize him.
so, yeah,
Okay.
that's all the news.
Well, slow. It's the start of the year, but like we know that's all going to pick up Super Bowl weekend, which is coming up.
Today it's been, so those are all official. There was a Variety that got the Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
I think he did an interview with them, and then Deadline reported the Sinestro casting today.
Okay.
So those are
Those
official.
are official.
And then we also got from leakers that FF trailer will come out on Super Bowl, which we all kind of expect.
Yeah.
Especially since that's what they did with Deadpool and Wolverine last year. And Deadpool and Wolverine came out in July. Fantastic Four's coming out in July. So just the whole roadmap, it makes sense.
Deadpool and Wolverine was $1 billion movie. Fantastic Four.
It'd be a $4 billion movie.
Let's go.
See what I did there. So yeah, next we're gonna get into, I guess just the state of grading, and so this is something. If you've made it this far, one, thank you. This is like a conversation that I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on. So, feel free to comment and engage, and we'll be looking at your comments and responding. I don't know if you guys know this, but you guys can like comment a timestamp. So it's like, let's say we're at 48:41 right now. At least on mine, when I edit it, it'll be a little bit different. But if you put it, if like I were to say something like outlandish right now, you could put 48:41, and then you can make a comment, and it would make it so that somebody can click on that. So you could be like, Spro's take on like Fantastic Four making $4 billion is ridiculous. And then you would just put the timestamp and we would know.
How it's going to be the biggest number one movie in China.
So I assume we're going to say a lot of things that are maybe controversial or maybe not controversial. I don't know.
Yeah.
In terms of like this part of the hobby, but yeah, so feel free to partake in the discussion in the comments. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I love that we're going to talk about grading because it's something that affects everybody who's in the hobby, no matter what. If you're a collector or you're a dealer, or if you're just a hobbyist and you're looking to buy a book, you're interested in grading because it's a way to verify that you're getting the book that in the condition that you want. It creates kind of a common agreed upon standard, which unlocks all the internet buying and selling, because it's hard to buy a raw book on the internet if it's expensive, because you really don't. You're really taking your chances. And somebody may really intentionally do their very best to grade it, but they may grade it poorly, and that's usually not going to work to your advantage. Like it's not often that they undergrade it. They usually the other way around. So, yeah, I think grading is a good thing. But my position right now is I'm very happy to have all the slabs I have, and I like to buy slabs. Like I said, with internet purchases especially. But I'm kind of taking a break from getting any of my books graded right now.
Yeah,
and I don't think I'm alone in that. I think the number one reason is the time delay more than for me than anything else. I just don't want to send. I don't like having the book gone for most of a good part of a year, or the book's gone. And then the other part is I'm not really sure CGC is the company I want to use anymore. And I haven't, I think, like, I'm not sure where it will all land. We got PSA coming up, CBCS and CGC. Those are the three that I think of. Is there any other ways? Is PGX, does that even count anymore?
I don't think people take that serious.
No. So we do have a precedent where, a lot of people paid money to have a company grade and slab their books, and they're worthless now. Like nobody wants to buy a PGX book.
Yeah.
So you can't just ignore that and say, well, it doesn't really matter who grades it. It's graded. It's just one is as good as another. And we know that's not true in the eyes of most hobbyists, but I do believe it's changing. I like the CBS slab better. I like it look cooler. I like the label better.
I like the feel of the slab better.
They're more they're thinner, they're lighter, I think, than the CGC slabs. So that's where I am right now. But as far as like that's just my own personal opinion, right?
Sure.
And everybody's got their own opinion. But if you're asking what I think is going to happen, like beyond my opinion.
So let's get there in a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to cut you off there. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's good.
So last year, kind of a crazy year for CGC.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot happened. None of it good. They tried to save it with JSA, and they tried to save it with the 9.9 pre-screen. And so I watched this video. I'll link it in the description. I'll send it to you as well. To be truthful, I watched half the video and then I paused it and I meant to watch the rest of it, but then I got caught up doing other stuff, and I never went to go rewatch it. But it was from Top Comics Pressing, who I've sent some books to. I actually sent my ASM. I actually sent both of these books to him, and he did a great job. And so he makes content mostly on pressing, and he does a lot of work bumping books. So he's had some crazy bumps. Like, I think I might be misremembering. I don't know. So don't take this as canon, but I think he even got like one time like a Hulk 181 from like a 7.5 to like a 9.2 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just had some insane crazy bumps. So he's really good. When I'm looking at like my big kind of grails, I do like basic dry cleaning and basic pressing. Soon I'm gonna be learning how to do like the whole humidity thing. But he does a whole lot of other stuff that I don't do, and I don't have the space to do because you got to like build contraptions and stuff. So anyways, go check him out. I'm going to link this particular video in the description. He posted a couple months ago, and it was a CGC year in review. And he basically was like, okay, let's look at what CGC's done.
Yeah.
They kind of opened the year with a lawsuit. I think that's what it was.
Great start.
I probably have the timeline messed up, but there was a lawsuit, and then they had the swapping of the books, and then they had like another swapping of the books. They had two different instances.
The external cheating, and then there's the internal. One.
Yep. And those lawsuits, I don't think they won any of them. I think they lost most of them. And then Banana Gate.
Yeah.
With the bending.
Talked about that a lot. Yeah.
With the bending of the slabs. And I think that was... Oh, and right now it's turnaround times. It seems that they've fired a lot of people, and now the turnaround times are insane. Thankfully, you and I actually got our last shipment in before the turnaround times got crazy.
That was coincided with when they lowered their prices. Remember they did that as a way to try to, and so we jumped on that. But I think that along with firing a bunch of people created, the perfect storm of delays. Yeah. And even we were getting somewhat delayed. Yeah. I remember posting like, "It's just taking forever." Like, how much longer I have to wait? But that's nothing compared to what people are having to deal with now.
Right. So now you're waiting upwards of like 6+ months because the turnaround time that they give you is from the moment that they check in your books. So forget about the 3 days that it takes to ship, on average. Yeah. Forget about the 2 weeks that it takes for them to check in the books. You got to wait until it gets there.
So brutal.
And then those are just estimated times. And as we learned, and as this is what happened to Top Comics Pressing is he sent books in at a time where it was like still a 40-day turnaround. And then it seemed like every day they were just raising that time.
How can you do that? That's weird. Like, I feel like if you send a book in and they say at the date you sent it in that it's a 40-day turnaround, they kind of should honor that, not just get to arbitrarily say, well, actually, we told you we'd get it back in 40 days, but you're actually gonna get back in 120 days, right? Or 190 days.
So just a mess.
Yeah, the uncertainty maybe is the worst part of it.
Yeah, just a mess, and then they try to make things right. They announced the JSA authentication, which helps them a lot and probably takes some business away from CBCS, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. They did those huge sales, like they started with the vintage, send in 15 or more vintage. It was like $10-15 a book or something like that. Yeah. And they did that, and then once they ended that sale, then they did the same thing with moderns, and it was like after the modern one, that's when the times got insane, and then that's when they reportedly fired people. I haven't seen any reports on that, but that's just what people in the community are saying, because there was like mass firings, and then they introduced 9.9 pre-screening, which I guess was probably their way of getting more submissions in. Yeah. Maybe cracking some 9.8s that you have, or sending in some modern stuff. And hoping that you might get a bump to a 9.9, and it kind of just, that really just messes with the market a ton.
Big time. Now you're wondering, are my 9.8s worth the premium I paid for them?
Right.
If now 9.9s are going to become, they'll never be common, but they'll be a lot more common because you got a lot more people taking a shot at it.
Yeah. So it's all just weird.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have PSA preparing to launch, and it seems like, it's an ideal time to get into the market. That there's no doubting that. Like, there's people. I'm sitting on. I have a bunch of early Batgirls that I would love to get graded, but I'm just not sending them in right now.
No.
So just a whole lot of drama. Again, Top Comics Pressing goes into all of that stuff kind of in a little bit more detail. So the link is in the description if you want to watch that. But we just kind of did a quick flyover. So that's what happened with CGC. CBCS, really relatively quiet year. I think the biggest thing, and I just found this out last night, was CBCS is owned by Beckett, and Beckett just got bought by somebody.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then CBCS made some funny, but they slapped a banana. And that was pretty much it for CBCS in a year.
I remember we took some heat for that podcast. There's people that weren't pleased with our complaining about the bend in the books, and they're like, man up, or suck it up, or whatever it was, and but I will stand by that. Those books were bent to the point of regardless of what CGC said in their statement, there was a spine stress. I could see it. I could see it.
Yeah, 100%.
That wasn't there before I sent it in, and it came back, and it's buckling on the spine.
Yeah,
like the very thing that you learned from day one of a collector never to do. Right.
Right.
So to me, that was that stopped me cold with a lot of things I was going to send in, because I had a whole stack of moderns. Because you helped me, you pressed some of them for me, and I wanted to send them in. Some of them to get authenticated signatures, and others just because they were modern. And then I realized there's no way I want to do that right now. I'm not doing that. It's very depressing to take a book that you've had in your collection for 20 years, 40 years, kept it in great shape. You send it in to get it slabbed. It comes back and they put the dent in it.
Yeah.
So are you kidding me?
Yeah. So it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
PSA announces last year that they're going into the hobby. The biggest card grader in the market. Rohan was telling me they get 50,000 cards a day, which is insane. And their turnaround times are pretty decent. I just sent in a batch to PSA not too long ago, and the expected turnaround time was 3 months. I got it back in a month. So
it should be. It's a card. It's not like they have to go through 32 pages.
Right. Yeah.
They can look at it and look at, I know cards there's a lot of things you need to look at with a card, but it's not a 32-page comic book.
Yeah. Corners, edges, centering,
fading.
It's pretty much
scratches on the surface, dirt. I don't know.
Yeah. So we actually held some PSA slabs at San Diego Comic-Con, and they were horrible.
There's no way. Those prototypes can't be what they do.
No, so they're going to be smaller. They said that they're going to adjust the size so that it fits into your slab comic boxes.
They were so heavy.
They were so heavy. That was the other thing. So I guess Rohan is my source here. I didn't see any actual videos, but Rohan was telling me just last night that they said they were going to make the slab smaller, and they were going to figure out the weight, and that they were going to make the heavier kind of like a premium if you wanted that, and then they'll probably adjust it and bring it down. My thing is, though, I think the CGC slab, this looks fine to me. I think this looks great. But when CGC graded cards, there's so much going on in the label, it overwhelms me. PSA's card slab, it looks great.
It's real clean.
It's very clean.
Yeah.
But from the pictures that we've seen of the PSA labels, there's so much negative space on the label. So let me actually pull up one that I sent to Rohan last night. This is a Hulk 181 that they graded. They got it at a 9.4, and I'll throw this up on the screen. But there's so much just negative space, just blank white space on the label. They could fill it in creatively. CGC kind of has this
the barcode.
Yeah, they get the barcode, but they have like their logo kind of like transparent in the background, and then they have the, what is this called when you fade the?
Oh yeah, the gradient.
Yeah, they have gradient, and just making it not look so stale.
It looks a lot like what the cards look like. You know, it has a red border, white, and very minimalistic.
Yeah, which looks great on the card, but that's because everything's closer and it's knit and it's like kind of tightly knit together. But on the comic book, because it's a bigger slab and so things have to get stretched out more, I just think there's like too much. I don't know. Maybe it'll look different in person, but I'm a little critical of the.
Why is my phone so much heavier than yours? We have the same phone, don't we? Feel that?
I think yours is the bigger phone. No. Yeah, you have the Plus.
All right.
So
speaking of bricks and heavy,
so yeah, I mean, I guess we won't really know until the slab comes out, but that's just me being a little bit critical.
Yeah. I wonder. That's it. That's interesting. I definitely not going to be in for it if it's going to be what we saw, the prototype we saw. But that's just a prototype. What I'm really curious about is what people think about the perceived value of a CBCS slab. Definitely a year ago, and for sure longer than a year ago, there's a 10 to 20% premium CGC versus CBCS same grade. You're just going to pay more if it's CGC. I remember looking on eBay and they would tell you if it was a CBCS, they would also say not CGC. They wanted to make sure you knew. Does that stigma still exist? I think it does, but I think it's a lot less now. I would even call it a stigma. I think there's still a bit of a perceived extra value if it's a CGC slab versus CBCS, but I don't know, you guys, what do you think? I don't feel it myself. Like, I have no problem. I bought a CBCS slab just a couple weeks ago, and I was stoked to get it for the price I got it. And I think I got it for that price because it was in a CBCS slab. Yeah. But why? The CBCS is awesome. I have no problems.
Yeah, I'm really, Rohan is pessimistic about the future of CBCS. With Becca being bought, he's unsure if it'll even if that company will keep it, if they'll drop it, if they'll sell it, who knows? And PSA, just the dominance that PSA already has in the grading sphere in general, how that might affect CBCS. So I really have no clue what to think of CBCS's future. I really do wish that CBCS was more respected, I guess, because I think the label is the best label.
Yeah, I like the label.
I prefer it to even CGC. I think they have the best slabs by far. No bending, and it feels so sturdy. Sometimes you get a CGC slab back, and the inner well, you can shake it.
Often.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel as sturdy. The CBCS slab is strong. It feels strong.
Yeah.
So, so now we can kind of jump back to where I cut you off earlier, is just kind of the future of grading. What is a lot going on.
Yeah.
I would say for me, just summed up, because I don't have too long of a thought on this, but I really don't know. It's just in a really bad spot.
I don't know either. So that's really thanks for tuning in. We don't know, but we don't know. What would you prefer? You're a dealer now, so that change, you have a different perspective. But I know when I think about books that I have that I might want to sell, I want to, if they're high grade, I want to slab them, because I feel like I'll get a better ROI if I could go ahead and do that. Yeah. But for me, for the collector in me, that this book right here, that they're going to bury this with me. I'm never going to sell it, right? Unless I'm in a desperate situation. I don't ever plan to sell that book. Therefore, I really have no desire or need to slab it. And I've got other books too where no, it's fine. I'm fine with them being not slabbed. However, when I buy a book, I like to buy a slabbed book if it's online, because then there's kind of a guarantee.
Yeah.
But then if there's some dealers like on Instagram and these like elite sales, they're very, very good, and they often undergrade and they stand by their grade and the whole thing. And I've been pleasantly surprised, and I don't mind getting a deal on a few raws that way. I'm kind of leaning more toward not grading right now and just kind of taking a wait and see approach, because as you said, there's just a lot of uncertainty, and I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
PSA could just barnstorm the whole scene and take over for all we know.
Yeah.
Because people are, CGC is the king, but the crown sits unsteadily on that head because we're frustrated with CGC for reasons we've already discussed. So now we're looking at alternatives, and if there's uncertainty at CBCS because of corporate sales and things like that, and PSA is such a well-known entity in collectible hobby, the time is right for them. And if they come in and they steal the show, CGC will still be around. It'll be CBCS that pays the price probably most, because is there room for 3?
Let me see. When does PSA comic grading launch?
I mean, it's going to take years for them to be accepted, don't you think?
It's going to take, I would say, at least 2 years for enough books to go in and circulate. But they start this year. No official date. I mean, this is cool. But the font is just so boring to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like the baseball card. It looks just like it to me from where I sit.
I think that actually might be a better representation of the.
Oh, there's a barcode on this one where there wasn't on the.
Okay, so the old one might have been the prototype that I was criticizing.
I mean, it's not bad, man. It's clean. It's clean.
I might need to take a closer look this one when you're done, because I think this might be closer to what.
I hit something there. Sorry.
What they'll launch.
I've become my mom. I can't believe that just happened. Whenever I hand the phone to my mom, or she touches any phone, according to her, the phone just has a mind of its own, does whatever it wants, and starts like, it's like if you see that movie Poltergeist, when all of a sudden you just have static and the things are blinking. Yeah. That's what it's like when my mom touches the phone. And now
just things happen.
I just inherited it. I'm handing it back to you, and the 3 things just flashed.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, okay, so it looks like there actually is some like detail. They have a close-up of the slab, and it looks like there's some like on that negative space,
little PSA shadowed in there a little bit,
and some texture to it too. So I don't know what to think of the future of grading. As somebody who's pivoted into dealing recently, I sent in a handful of books in November, but that was like, those were walkthrough books because of the value of the books. So like Avengers 1, House of Secrets 92, like big books. So I didn't really have to deal with the like turnaround times of the sub $400.
Yeah, you were flying
value.
First class.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's like a 3 or 5 day turnaround for
to deal with Coach.
What I said. Yeah, so that was different. But like, if I get books like that, like I'm absolutely gonna send those into CGC because the turnaround time is so small. And like those books, I'm gonna take the gamble. Like that Avengers 1, for instance, I thought that was a 2.530. It came back a 4.0. If I sold that raw,
you would have lost a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I still would have made money, but I would have lost a lot in profits.
I sold too many super ultra high grade books prior to the grading craze, if I can call it that, whatever. The widespread adoption of grading. And I wish, that's my biggest regret as a seller, and I can't really blame myself that it didn't exist, but I just wish I could have held out long enough to have had the opportunity to slab them, because I know I cost myself a lot of money.
Yeah.
It just came out that like Mighty Mighty Comics. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but he does like top tens based on what Comic Connect or whatever it is does, and he said, and his number one book was Human Torch 23, the Golden Age book, and it's like tripled in price in the last, like something crazy like that, and like even in a mid grade, it's thousands. My copy was definitely 9 or higher.
Wow.
And I sold it for $500 on eBay.
Dang.
Back in 2003, maybe. So I imagine CGC might have been in its infancy, but wasn't really adopted and accepted the way it is now.
Right.
And I could say the same thing about Iron Man 1 and several others. So using that same logic, as much as I say I'm not slabbing any books, if I have a big book and I'm going to sell it and I think it's a high grade or potentially a high grade, I'm absolutely going to get it slabbed. I'm not going to make that mistake, because if you're wrong and it comes back a lower grade, it's still easier to sell.
Yeah.
If it turns out you get a really premium grade, you just could make the difference between selling a book for $300 and selling a book for $1,300.
Yeah.
Or more.
Exactly. Yeah. I kind of another thing that I've been thinking of, and something that I think I've actually changed my opinion on. And I think that this is something that's a little bit more fluid, you could say. So I think this could easily go back. But with the current state of just grading and kind of all the drama, it used to be upsetting when you would see people sell raw books for the price of graded books. But at this point, if I'm not going to grade books, then I don't. And if it's a seller that I trust, I kind of don't mind paying, the equivalent, because it's like, yeah, he's not going to wait 90 days to send it in. I'm not going to wait 90 days to send it in.
So true.
Like, I might as well just, buy it for that price, because this is a trustworthy seller.
Yeah.
That I, I like, and it's his business. I don't mind supporting his business in that way. And so yeah. I pulled the trigger on a ASM 51 first cover appearance of Kingpin. And it probably could have been a little bit cheaper because it's raw according to the grade, and the price was closer to its graded price. Mm-hmm. But I genuinely sitting there, and this is me talking as a buyer, not as a dealer. I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, yeah, you know what? Like I'm maybe I'll get this graded like in the future, but this is a book for my PC. So yeah, I don't mind paying that. Like, that's totally fine with me. And I think if you would have asked me like 6 months ago, even, maybe even like 4 months ago, like I would have been like, no, that's not how you should do it. But in this current state, and I'm going to tie this in a little bit to something I discovered this week while looking at an auction that I was interested in. But I opened up an auction on eBay for a 9.8 Edge of Spider-Verse 2, first print of Spider-Gwen. I have a 9.6 copy. I had favorited and saved the book. Didn't really look at it. Came back to it a little bit later. And looking at it a little bit closer. This thing, and I'll put a picture up here. As you guys can see, it is ticked like crazy. This is not a 9.8 book.
No, it's not.
And so...
No way.
Seeing this yesterday was really the nail in the coffin for me, for being like, okay, I don't mind paying close to what a graded book's going for if it's coming from a trusted seller that like I have like kind of a built-in relationship and trust with, because that like this, they're going to grade better than CGC on this.
You trust these sellers more than you trust CGC, whose only job is to give you a standard grade.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has stories that they can tell where they're scratching their heads as to why their perfect book comes back a 9.4 or 9.2, and then they buy online a 9.8, and like, this doesn't even look as good as my 9.4. I don't what gives here exactly. And I'm with you. You sent me that. I think it was last night or the night before.
Yeah,
and it was last night. And I mean, I'm going. There's no shot. Like, I would have passed that book up if it were on the rack, like if there were, that would have been one that I would have just disregarded as a potential book to buy because I'm like, no, it's ticked up. I don't want to see. I know that they say ticks are allowable in a 9.8. Well, if that's true, then how come I have 9.4s that have no ticks and no like sharp corners and glossy? And anyway, all that to say, I don't have a lot of confidence in the consistency of CGC. Not that they're like trying to rob or rip people off but I feel like it's subjective anyway, but it shouldn't be that subjective.
Right.
You know, like what's the number of ticks that's allowable? They do have a book they published and it says in the book what it is, but I don't see that play out in some of the grading. And people are going to think, here we go. Here these guys go again, knocking on CGC. Look, it's not CGC. It's just any company that would do that.
Yeah.
I would have a problem with it.
I mean, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I would consider a book like that kind of
this is not near
mangled. No, definitely not near mint. It looks like it was on a spinner rack in a 7-Eleven and sat there for a month, and little kids kind of went through and thumbed through it, and they just nicked it up on the spines.
Yeah, I mean, there's color rub here. Like, I mean, it's just like my 9.6 genuinely looks better than this.
Yeah, it should. 9.6 shouldn't have more than maybe one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. So I don't know.
And I've been, poking around at Power Man or Luke Cage 1, just out of curiosity. And I do understand that it's still different when you have a black bordered book because it even 1 or 2 ticks just make the book look sad.
Yeah, it shows real.
But I saw one. It was like a 7.5, and it was actually a really cheap 7.5. It was like $300 and something bucks for a 7.5, which is actually a lot under the value of the competitors. But I think it's because the seller kind of knew, yeah, this isn't really a 7.5. Because I looked at it, it looked like someone took like an emery board to a few spots on the spine. Like it wasn't just ticks; it was significant, not black space on this cover. Really, like it really shows, and there's a lot to show. And no way, this should be like more like a 6.5. Yeah. But again, we're not the pros, but we are having this conversation. I'm not feeling CGC even to buy it. Like I know the smart buyers will say buy the book, not the grade. Right. And that's true. But if you can't trust the grade, then what's the value in the grading system? Yeah. They're not going to be perfect and consistent all the time because there's a lot of factors, but you can't miss 7 or 8 or 9 spine ticks. Yeah. On a 9 that was something you're calling a 9.8. Right. No way.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, so this week I'm kind of gutting my PC a little bit. I'm going to be shrinking it a bit, throwing a lot of it into my inventory. And I started with my slabs. And I have 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 10 boxes of slabs. I took 2 boxes worth of slabs out, which is a pretty good amount. And I'm looking at the rest of my slabs, and there's some books that I got graded that I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I didn't grade this. Like, I have like just like first cover appearance of Hella, great book, yeah, super cool cover, but I'm like, I kind of wish I had this raw instead. Yeah. And so I'm actually like, I've been going back and forth about just cracking it and getting it back raw again. I lose the money, whatever. Like, but there's just a lot of books that I have in my collection that I'm like, why in the world did I even grade this in the first place? Like, yeah, I think it was maybe just to meet the kind of, you kind of want to send 10 in at a time because that's kind of the best value for shipping. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, so. I've got a few of those. I kind of, came back in the 9.2 range. I'm like, yeah, that wasn't a good decision. Why'd I get that graded anyway?
Yeah. So I think from a buyer perspective, I'll say you can get insane deals on slabs right now. I don't know what it is.
Interesting.
But you can find crazy deals on graded books at the moment. And I think there's kind of a pinch and a closing of the gap between graded books and raw books.
Interesting.
And so I think that's, like I said, like I'd be willing to pay that kind of I guess, extra premium on the raw book if it's from a trusted seller. And I think that's mostly not because raw books are like bumping up in price, but I think the graded price of comics are just coming down so much, and the raw books are actually holding like pretty well. Like that's what people want to see. Like in claim sales, they want to buy the raw books. Not a lot of people are interested in buying graded unless it's, a signature verified or like a really big key.
Right.
But kind of like I don't know, like maybe like a Daredevil 37, like a notable cover,
Yeah.
an iconic cover, but does somebody want it slabbed? I think the average buyer would rather prefer to buy it raw.
Yeah.
So I think that's what people are buying right now. And it could be just ramifications of people just being like, these grading companies are kind of like, just there's a lot going on. I don't know what to trust. Like,
Yeah.
and it's we didn't even no, we did mention it. Yeah, the swapping of the inner wells. We did briefly mention that, but I mean, you probably lose a lot of trust within the community with that. So I think that's could have been what definitely led to people preferring raws. What do you prefer to buy?
That's a great question. I think I don't have a preference. If the book, if I can trust the seller, and the seller tells me the book is in, hey, this is a 7.5, or it's in the 7.5 to 8.0 range, and that I can trust that that's what it is, I'm happy to get it raw. I like to get it raw. I actually like to open the books and check them out. It's fun, right? It's like you lose when you slab it, you lose 90% of what the book actually is.
Yeah.
And periodically you'll send me pictures of panels, and you'd be like, check out this splash page, or look at these panels right here. And they're always amazing, and it's just a good reminder, and we love to talk about cover artists, but some of the artists, most of the artists' work certainly is in the interior, but certainly much of the artist's best work is in the interior, and you don't get to see that anymore when you slab it. I kind of feel sometimes guilty when I slab a book because I've entombed it.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. Like, we liberated this book today.
Yeah.
I feel that way. Like, there's no way I'm going to slab it. Like, the best thing about it is I can open it up and say, check this out right here, And I'm thinking about maybe cracking open my Daredevil 158 for the same reasons.
Do it.
And my Star Wars 1 that has the Archie Goodwin signature and a remark on the inside where he drew a self-portrait of himself.
Yeah.
Well, I just was redundant. A self-portrait is of yourself, but he did a self-portrait on the splash page because that's the way it was done back then. So I think, if it's a 9.8, I'll buy a 9.8. If it's truly a 9.8, I'll do that. Or if it's something special and I'm buying it online and I don't trust the seller, like on eBay, I'm gonna have to go for slab if it's eBay.
Yeah.
I've been burned before on eBay with things, and eBay's not. It's a pretty clunky customer service system if you get a book that isn't at all as it was advertised. And you're just taking your chances that the person who's selling it to you knows how to grade. And I mean, I remember getting a third appearance of Ra's al Ghul, as a Batman 240, and I think it's an Adams cover. It would be nice to have, and I bought it, and it was supposed to be in like VF condition. It basically had a staple pull and a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, dude, what? So I wrote the guy back, and we didn't have to go through eBay. He just refunded me like 40% of the book's value.
Wow.
Like, this isn't anywhere. I sent a bunch of pictures. I'm like, what? This isn't anywhere close to a VF book. And your pictures didn't show it. So on eBay, slabs is my preference, unless I'm buying $3, $4, or $5 books. Then it's really not that big of a deal. Like when I'm on my hunt for Frisson books, they don't need to be 9.8s. I just want to have them. So and they usually, unless it's something really special, it's a $4 book, $3 book. So I'll go with Raws in that case. But generally speaking, if it's eBay, I want slabs. If it's on a claim sale, I have no preference. And there are some dealers, in fact, that I'm happier to get the raw because it's a little cheaper, and they tend to undergrade anyway and over deliver. And then the choice is up to me. But I recently picked up a book that was slabbed because that was just the way it was offered. It was the don't know if I should say, because it might be a show and tell down the road, but it was a book where the newsstand version would be significant.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I've never seen it raw as a newsstand anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was what it was. And by the way, I brought it. I wanted you to look at it.
Oh yeah.
I actually don't think. I think it could actually be a higher grade,
Really?
honestly, than that. But
Does it look better than that Edge of Spider-Verse 2?
a lot better than the other. Like I want to send both back. Both, if I send that book into CGC, I'll send along with yours and be like, or you didn't buy that book, but I'll point that one out.
Yeah.
To you. But yeah. So as far as buying goes, I don't mind either one, but I do have a lot of reservations about buying a modern CGC book, because I'm always wondering, is it bent?
Yeah.
I don't, unless it's a verified signature, you really don't know if it was slabbed in 2020. I guess it was 2024,
Yeah.
in late 2023 and first maybe half of 24. That's where you were seeing the bends. And,
Yeah.
and I did buy one, a slab book on a claim sale in an INO. It was Iron Man. It was the Demon in a Bottle. I think it was Iron Man 128 and 9.0, and it came and it's bent, and I can see the spine stress, and I don't blame the seller. Like, it's a 9.0. He sold me what he sold me, but I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that again. Like,
Would you crack that and keep it raw?
well, that's a dilemma. Either I crack it, keep it raw, or I play hot potato with it and I sell it myself. But then I feel like, knowing what I know, I don't think I would not disclose that it's banana gated,
Yeah.
whatever you'd call it. Cause I wasn't happy about it, cause I look at it and that's all I see is the bend.
Yeah, I don't think the banana gate though. I don't think that's anything that anybody's noting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm happy with the book, but then as a collector with the books that I have right now, I'm not slabbing anything right now. And if I'm going to slap anything, it's because I intend to sell it.
Yeah.
That would be the only reason I'm doing it for now. There's my answer to that question. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, I have a couple books that I want to send in. That I have that Doctor Strange 169, and I have a first appearance of Shocker. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I also have an ASM 39. That's probably like a 5.0.
Is that Spider-Man 8 or 9 or something like that? The first Shocker? What?
No, it's in the 40s. And it's like 46.
Okay, so wait, am I thinking of the same guy that second appearance?
Electro.
Electro.
That's an
different.
ASM
Okay.
9. Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm not up on my Spider-Man villains because I'm not up on Spider-Man.
So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some stuff I want to get graded, but I don't want to deal with everything right now. So, and that's why I said, like Silver Age Comics. He is an undergrader. I've bought a handful of books from him.
Yeah, me too.
And got them graded raw, and they've either come back higher or right at what he said.
Yep.
Like, I bought a X-Men 40 something, the big Magneto cover.
Yep.
He sold it as an 8085. I was looking at that thing and I was like, this is one of the cleanest Silver Age books I've ever seen. Sent it in to get graded, came back a 9.0 white pager. Yeah. Like, huge. So that's why I think if that's why I say, with the caveat, if it's a trusted seller, I don't mind paying close to what a graded slab would be, because it's like, if I can't even trust CGC to grade a 9.8,
right?
Like, but I have these other guys who are like kind of grading safely and better.
Yeah, better.
Yeah,
I like slabs for trade purposes. That's kind of nice.
Sure.
Like, again, not trading at cons because that's a disaster, but within the community with people
we did a trade.
Yeah, we did do a trade, and it's it's kind of not. We haven't completed the circle on it yet because you're going to see how that goes. But yeah, that was a good. That was I was just looking at that book today, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
I was like really glad that we did that trade because it was just an upgrade. I don't know if we want to disclose it, but it was an upgrade to a book that the grade didn't change, but just I thought the eye appeal was better with the one. And so you did that trade, and I'm going to compensate you with some cash based on what, but we just don't know what that compensation is yet until we see. But either way, I'm really happy with that trade.
Yeah,
because you're intending to sell the book, and I'm keeping the book. So
I was more than happy to, because I remember when you got that book, I felt bad for you. I was like, you were doing your best to be optimistic about it, and I was like, I never said it, but I was like, this book is horrendous.
It's got things. It's got writing on the cover,
which is not great marketing for me because I'm selling that book soon. But
but it's a great book anyway. Yeah,
it is a great book. Yeah, we traded in FF48.
Yeah,
both were a 4.0, but yours came with a stamp, which is fine, a 10-pence stamp, or
so I don't even know. Yeah, it's like a little square stamp of like the comic shop or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Which is fine. Most I feel like generally, I don't really find people who like don't want a stamp. I think
right.
I mean, people always ask to like, I guess it's good to let people know that it has a stamp, but
right.
I feel like generally people don't mind if it has a stamp. Anyways, yours had a stamp, but the worst part about it was somebody wrote 10p on there, which 10 pence, again, totally fine, 10p, but then they like scribbled over it, which is the worst part.
Like lead pencil.
Yeah.
So you see the 10p and you see the scribble.
Yeah, it's just real bad. So I remember you had joined like a claim sale late. Yeah, and you didn't get full details. You just kind of.
I went for it. It was like the first big IG purchase I ever made because I bundled that with House of Secrets 92 with the rights and signature on the cover, and I bundled those two books together. So it was a huge purchase.
Yeah,
and I it's on me. Buyer, I should have known, but anyway, whatever. It came in the mail, and my first thought was, "What is this?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. It's got writing on the cover, and like that kind of writing on the cover,
scribbles. The scribbles the worst part of it.
Yeah, and I understand why it came back a 4.0 because it doesn't have a lot of creases on the cover and there's spine wear, but you can't ignore the writing. Like people writing is, to me, I think CGC goes a little too easy on the writing.
Yeah,
I do. I think they don't punish the grade that much when there's writing on the cover, which maybe that's because it's kind of carrying on the tradition of the golden age where there's, people would write their names and, you're like, hey, look, there's like 5 copies of this available. So but anyway, yeah. So thank you for that. That was that I was honestly just today, cause I'd gotten some books in the mail and I was rearranging some things, putting books away. And that book, I had left it out since we made the trade, but it was a book, it was sitting behind another book. So I saw it and I was happy all over again.
Nice.
I was like,
I'm glad.
So much better.
So yeah, I mean, grading, raw books, grading. I mean, I don't know.
But I'm glad you did a shout out to Silver Age Comics because he's done right by me as well. I bought the first Eclipso from him, and he said, whatever. I think it ended up grading out an 8.5, and he said it was like a 7.580 is what he said. Like I think he said it called it an 8.0, and it came back an 8.5. Yeah. I bought a Hulk 122, which is an early FF Hulk battle. And he said, he put it at like a 9.0, 9.2, came back a 9.6. I mean, he's not going to claim something's a 9.6 because when you get up in those high echelons, you can't really, you just don't know.
Yeah.
But
the highest all grade is a 9.4.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And then I think if it's higher than a 9.4, I'll say 9.4 plus. Like,
yeah. Cause the difference between 9.4 and a 9.8 really can be minuscule.
Yeah.
At that point.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to 2025. Looking forward to see what PSA does. The good thing for us is PSA is local for us.
Ooh, I'm actually really rooting for PSA. What I would like is for PSA to come out of the gate hot with better than competitive pricing, better than competitive turnaround, with consistent solid grading, which I have no reason to believe they won't have consistent solid grading. They've earned that reputation in the card market. If they do those 3 things, they got me. I'm all for it because they certainly have, as you said, timed it perfectly. Like there is a big gap in the market right now, and we're all looking for something better.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see it. I have no problem switching. I don't think any of us does.
No, we'd be able to do walk-ins too.
Yeah, that's right. Because they're in. Are they in the Valley or are they in LA?
They're in LA.
Okay, that would be cool.
Yeah, I might even maybe I'll offer like a walk-in service.
Oh, to
like
people,
to my customers.
yeah, I'll walk it in for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Because I mean, you save. You could. I mean,
The
you could
shipping
save
is
upwards
crazy.
of well, they would still ship to me, but you would save like a couple weeks time doing walk-in because they check it in like essentially right then and there.
And then if you don't like to grade, you can square up.
So
What do you mean it's a 7.5?
Maybe I might do that.
What do you mean my FF49 is restored? I don't see any color touch. Square up, dude. Still salty about that.
But that is unless somebody's doing like big, like, I mean, if you're doing like a big $10 order, like even 5+ book order, you like kind of do it yourself. But I think I could do, because a lot of the card shops, like specific card shops in our area, they do that with PSA. So like where I dropped off my cards for to get graded, they do walk-in. They drive down to PSA like once a week, and then so
that would be amazing, because it is a great savings to us to not have to ship.
Have to ship literally to the other side of the country.
I actually think that would be a place to give my FF49 another shot, like a place. You know,
oh yeah,
don't you think? I mean,
for sure.
I really am very skeptical that there's a color touch on that book.
Yeah,
like I'm telling you, I bought it for $11. Who's color touching an $11 book in 1981?
Yeah,
it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
you know. And anyway, you guys have heard me talk. This is like the day that I get that book in a slab that's not color touched. we'll have this is party number 1. We'll have a second party.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
A lot of
thanks for sharing this experience with me, you guys. I mean, this is it's been a long journey for me to get this book, and Joshua, thank you for giving me that little additional push of sending it to me, and putting it back in front of me again, and you know, because I was kind of waffling on it, but then you realize, wait, if I step out of myself and look at this opportunity, it's everything I say I want in a book. Like if it's a one of a kind, I don't know if it's truly one of a kind. It probably is.
Well, for comparison, I paid, I think, what you paid for the same book, and I got mine raw, got it graded, and now I have my profit margins on that.
Yeah.
We paid essentially the same thing, I'm pretty sure, and you got a Jack Kirby signature.
Yeah.
And they're literally the exact same grade.
Yeah. And so it feels like a landmark. I wonder what the thumbnail will be for what you'll pick on this one, because the suspense.
It probably won't be related to this.
No, because of the suspense of it all, right? Man, just okay. I just have to tell you, like, again, now that I've had a minute to kind of decompress from it, I really wasn't sure what I was going to see when I opened that cover to the splash page.
Yeah.
You know, as I said, I think it was reasonable to believe it would be a legitimate signature. I wouldn't have bought the book.
Yeah.
But there was no guarantees.
Sure.
But it was undeniable when I opened it.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know. I imagine that the cameras captured it, but what I felt when I saw that was like legitimate joy. That's how I felt. It was like, actually, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was cool.
So join in the conversation with us in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on the current state of grading, slabbing, what you think is going to happen when PSA finally hits the market. We're interested to hear your thoughts, and we will be reading them. I do have a claim sale this Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, hosted by Elite Comics 11. So make sure you're following me on Instagram at Spros_comics. That live sale will be this Thursday, January 30th, assuming you're listening around the time that this comes out. If you're listening to this weeks or months later, sorry. So yeah, this Thursday, I got some great books. I got a Star Wars 196. I got a Justice League 1, CGC 5.5, handful of Raws, a lot of I'm doing a lot of House of Secrets.
You got a first Falcon.
House of Mystery. Yeah, we'll have First Falcon. That'll be one of Mr. Longbox's books. First Lobo, potentially First Muse. I haven't decided if I want to sell it yet, but that might be in there. So yeah, we'll have a lot of great keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram at Spros_comics. Follow Mr. Longbox on Instagram at Mr.Longbox. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Take care.